Joining me today on the Capital TV show, Florida State Representative Anthony Sabatini. You are most welcome.
Thank you for having me on.
I want to ask you about what you said. You said, I'm proud to be one of the top polling and leading America First candidates in the country this cycle. I want to know how the race is going so far.
Well, just like you mentioned, there was a national polling firm that looked at almost every race in the entire country. And I'm very lucky, very grateful for the fact that I was included as one of the top 5 best polling pro-Trump America First candidates. So in terms of the primary election, we're going to win it so overwhelmingly, it won't even really be close. We're looking at really at the general election. We got to make sure we're way ahead of this Democrat. And so right now polls are showing we're maybe 5–10% better than the Democrat, but I'd like to have a bigger victory than that. We'll see what happens in November.
Mm-hmm. You chose a very critical subject to fight for. You create a petition. You said, if you want to save girls' sports in America, sign my official petition to ban men from competing against girls.
Absolutely. This is actually one of the biggest issues in the country right now. The radical left is doing everything they can to get rid of the idea of gender and family. It's one of the things they're trying to do to try to increase the role of government in the lives of everybody and get rid of these traditional institutions like family. And so the whole transgender movement really at the end of the day is just to get people to stop thinking about the solid categories of male and female gender and try to replace it with some kind of non-gender alternative. And so they're using very sickly, they're using children to do this. They're now trying to basically integrate sports for men and women is for small children. And that's just wrong. It's dehumanizing. It's disrespectful to women. We have to stop it.
Mm-hmm. Another subject, you are taking it so seriously. You wrote a letter to Governor Ron DeSantis, urging him to fight Biden's immoral order to stop paying any soldier who has not taken the COVID vaccine. How much this situation is very dangerous?
Very dangerous. You know, these vaccine mandates and these vaccine passports have gotten totally out of hand. They should have never been created. We've eliminated them in Florida, but the federal government now is using them to start punish and hurt conservatives in the military. So I have friends of mine in the military who are full-time who are being targeted by the federal government and getting kicked out just because they don't want to have to document their vaccine status. It's absolutely wrong. It has no bearing on science. It has no relation to science. It's simply a power move, a power grab, and the states can actually fight the federal government on this and win. And so I'm encouraging our governor to do so.
Mm-hmm. You added, we are living under woke communism. Is it only the problem of vaccinations, or there is anything else you see it wrong?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the woke communists, they basically captured a lot of the big corporations and the media and higher ed, and now the government, and they're trying to impose a radical foreign ideology on American soil. And it's absolutely wrong and it has to be destroyed. This is the land of the free, strong, individual thinking people who do what they want, live how they want, and are what they want. And the last thing we need right now are these giant hegemonic corporations and government actions trying to reduce the freedom of each and every American. That's what wokeism is about. It's about the reduction of freedom of the average citizen.
Mm-hmm. Anthony, why you said that Fauci should spend the rest of his life rotting away in a federal prison? And you said that Anthony Fauci lied. What he lied about?
Well, he's actually lied about almost everything. But the biggest lie he told was about his role in the gain of function research laboratory overseas. He had a strong financial stakeholder interest and had true and detailed knowledge of what was being studied, what was going on, and likely the origins of COVID itself. And he's lied about that. But more broadly, he's lied about the efficacy of the public policy he's chosen. He's lied about masks and lockdowns, and he's made exceptions based on his political ideology for groups like Black Lives Matter that he thinks that the COVID vaccines shouldn't apply to. So this guy has been lying to Congress, lying to the American people. And, you know, I think he should be going to prison for a very long time. At a minimum, they should be firing him and making it that he can never be employed by a federal government entity again. He's an evil individual.
Mm-hmm. Another comment on Ilhan Omar, you said she is an un-American psychopath. On what arguments you based your judgment is based?
Well, her hatred for Israel, for example, indicates that she's not mentally stable. And anyone who marries a person of their own family. She actually had a romantic relationship and marriage to her own brother. So obviously there's a lot going on there psychologically that she needs to be examined, probably from a Freudian perspective. But in the meantime, she's just obviously a person that really does not like our country, hates our way of life, and wants to see America change to become more embracing of the ideology of her, radical religion, radical, worldview. And she's been pretty open about that, actually. So
How do you evaluate the Abraham Accords?
I think it was a very important historic peace agreement. I think Donald Trump did a very good job. It was really a great movement towards peace, and it doesn't cost the Americans anything to facilitate that kind of dialogue. So, for me, we need to be pushing for world peace. We need to be pushing for more agreement, but not at the cost of reducing American sovereignty. And that's a good example of effective foreign policy.
Do you think that the relations between Israel and USA during Biden administration is on the edge?
Yeah, I think it's probably the worst it's ever been, actually, in our 80-year history with the nation of Israel. And I think that's by design. I think the Democrats at this point are trying to sever our relationship with them and try to make America not a pro-Israel nation, but pro-Palestine or pro whatever other entity that Biden finds it to be a better interest for him and his family to be aligned with. And so he's doing things that are really disgraceful and not taking the side of Israel like he should, and many presidents, even Democrat presidents, have done in the past.
Los Angeles Times mentioned that Israel urged hard line against Iran at nuclear talks. What do you think about it?
Well, I don't think Biden really knows what's going on. There's a lot of discussion about what his foreign policy is. The truth is he's so incompetent that at a lot of these agreements, these, G20 summit, whatever it be, all these different agreements with Putin and European nations, I just don't think he has any kind of coherent plan. I don't think he expected to win the presidency, and he's just been sort of stumbling and bumbling along the way, which is shocking because his domestic policy is so bad. You'd think he'd be spending more time on the foreign policy, but really he has no idea what he's doing. And I think America in the world is actually less safe now than it's almost ever been.
An American official said to reports on Saturday that Iran is at the table and developing its nuclear program. We could be at the table and using other tools to make sure that we are advancing our own objectives. Do you think they are capable to do that, the Americans or the Biden administration?
Well, I don't think that they have much of an interest in doing anything towards Iran that would help America. These are the folks that were affiliated. He was the vice president at the time when Obama basically struck a deal to help Iran move along its nuclear program. Of course, they lied and said it was supposed to be a deterrent agreement, but the truth is they did nothing to stop or create pressure on Iran from having a nuclear arsenal. And so, no, I don't trust Biden on this issue whatsoever. I think he's more interested in window dressing, trying to look like he got some kind of win or some kind of thin paper agreement about whatever issue, but not actually interested in having a real forceful relationship to make sure that these countries aren't obtaining nuclear programs. I think it's more about making it look like you did something on paper so he can maybe salvage his reputation foreign policy-wise going into the midterms.
What about the boycotting, American boycott of Olympics games in China?
Oh, well, I personally think that we should be in a complete and total boycott. I think we're in a cold civil war with China right now. And I don't believe that the so-called protest goes far enough. If it was up to me, I would pull out every athlete. I would actually do a complete and total shutdown, real 100% boycott of the Chinese Olympics, because the Chinese is an evil and horrible nation that not only unleashed COVID, but is involved in economic piratism and is destroying the middle class of the United States. So I have no interest in having any kind of relationship with them other than getting them to back down and stopping what they're doing. And so this whole sharing of athletes thing does nothing to further the cause of the American middle class. And that's wrong.
What about the relations with Russia and accusing Russia of interfering in elections 2016 and the cyber war coming from Russia?
Well, I think some of that is true and some of that's been exaggerated. I think that the Democrats were trying to find a way to come at Donald Trump And so they took maybe something that somebody in the Russian government did and tried to exaggerate it to, declare war on Donald Trump. And as you know, the whole Russia hoax was a complete hoax. It was a lie. And any interference or role that Russia played in that election was minimalistic. And so people look at it and they try to exaggerate it to hurt Donald Trump. And, it's just sick that the media still does that to some extent in the United States.
Anthony Sabatini, thank you for joining me on the Capital TV show. Thank you for your time.
Anytime. Thank you so much. Talk to you again. Take care.
Thanks. Take care.
Hey, Maria Malouf here. Please click to like and subscribe to Maria Malouf TV YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.